Hey guys, welcome back to another video from the channel, Learn from Basics. This is Joe here, and in our last video, we learned how to, download the Flutter SDK and link it up to our system environment variables so we can use it on our command prompt. But in today's video, we're going to answer the question, how are we going to use it in the command prompt? What commands are we going to be using? Because if you've ever seen a Flutter project, you know that there are a lot of folders and files involved in creating a Flutter project. And that's just because Flutter creates native code for multiple platforms. And it has a folder dedicated to Android, a folder dedicated to iOS, and one dedicated to the web. And it also has many other files that are very important to you as a Flutter developer. And there are some files that you should not touch as a Flutter developer. And we'll be discussing all of that in this video and the next video. But today we'll be mainly focusing on what commands can you use in the Flutter SDK and how to set up Flutter with Visual Studio Code and Android Studio. So without any further ado, let's get started. Now there are two main commands when it comes to Flutter. You have the Flutter Create command, and then you have the Flutter Start command. Now let's first look into Flutter Create. Now before you go, what does Flutter Create mean? Well, as you guessed, Flutter Create is a command that you use in order to create all the files and folders that you'll need for a Flutter program. Now, in order to do this, first of all, you'll have to cd into the folder that you want to have your Flutter project in. In this case, I'm going to cd into where I store all of my Flutter projects. You don't have to do this. You can create a Flutter project anywhere, but I just like to put all of my Flutter projects in one place. Then we're going to create a Flutter project. To do that, we're going to say Flutter Create, and then a Flutter project name. Now remember, there can be no spaces, no special characters of any sort, and no caps letters. So let's do that. Let's say my first app. And then you just wait, and voila. Flutter will create all the folders for you. As you can see, I have all of my folders created. So yeah, it creates all of these folders, it creates all of the icons, it creates all of the folders that you'll need. As you can see, you have the styles.xml, the build.gradle, which you'll be needing. So there are a lot of, all of these folders are manually created by the Flutter Create the Flutter Create command. Now that we have a project created and we called it My First App, let's open that project in Android Studio. Now, you guys can either use Android Studio or Visual Studio Code. Now, to run a program in Android Studio, it's not that hard. You first of all open Android Studio. And I told you guys what you will have to install in the last video, so go ahead and check that out. That should be in the description and pop up in the cards about right now. So please go ahead and check that out. As you can see, we have Android Studio launching. And again, as I said, I don't like the aesthetics of Android Studio personally, so I'm not going to be using Android Studio. Instead, I'm going to be using VS Code. But you guys can use either one. So as you can see, it's loading all of the modules. And what you're going to do is you're going to go into File. Now, please do note that you can create a Flutter project via Android Studio, but I just don't find the way as simple as it is using command prompt. But you're going to go to File right after this loads. So you're going to go to File. So now, what we're going to be doing next is we're going to go to File. And then we're going to go into Open. And then we're going to open the folder wherever we downloaded it. Now, as you can see, I have all of my folders in Flutter AOS. So we're going to go over here into final project. Actually, no, we're going to go into my first project, and then we're going to click on OK. Pretty easy, this window. And then that's all you need to do. Let's close these tips because we're not going to need them. But that's all you need to do. You have your Flutter project opened in Android Studio. And yeah. Now, one more thing. When downloading Flutter, if you get an error that says that has something to do with Java, this happened to one of my friends, and the easiest way to fix this error is just by downloading Java. It doesn't happen to everybody, but it does happen to some people, so go ahead and download Java if Flutter doesn't work for you. But as you can see over here, you have a bunch of phone options or connected devices. And here you have the main.dart. And then you can click on this green button whenever it loads to run the project. Not too hard. And yeah. Now, the next option we're going to look at is my personal favorite option. It's actually Visual Studio Code. So, let's look at how to operate Flutter with Visual Studio Code, shall we? So we're going to open Visual Studio Code or VS Code. And let's open that over here. And also, remember that Android Studio is kind of big. And it does make your computer slower, but you'll need it to use Flutter. So now, as you can see over here, this is a different project, but we're going to go into File for Visual Studio. We're going to open the folder, as we did before. So we're going to go to Open Folder. It's going to give us some options in a second. And now what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and choose the folder you want. Again, I have all of my projects in Flutter AOS, so we're going to go into My First App and select Folder. So now, yeah, as you can see, Visual Studio Code is loading. So now what we're going to do next, guys, is we are going to... So now, as you can see, we have our first app up and running, right? Now, how about we run our first app? But before we do that, let's set up Visual Studio Code to run and work with Dart and Flutter. So what you're going to do is, and this is easy, you go to Extensions. After you go to Extensions here, you see Search Extensions in Marketplace. And you're going to type in Dart. So I'm actually going to close this because we'll be not needing that. But you're going to download the Dart extension, as you can see. And then you're also going to, after you download the Dart extension, you're going to go into Flutter. And you're going to download the Flutter extension. Now, please do note that the Flutter extension does need Dart to work. So you'll need to download Dart first and then Flutter, not vice versa. Now that you have both of those extensions done, you should be ready and up and running. So let's run our program, shall we? Now, for now, we're just going to run it in the web in a mobile format, which I'll show you how to do. But later on, we will be running this on an emulator or a virtual phone on your computer, which is really cool, and I'll show you that. Basically, over here, you're actually not going to go to Run, but you're going to go to Terminal, and then you're going to create a new terminal. And Flutter apps start in debug mode, and we'll later discuss how to get out of debug mode, but for now, let's start in debug mode. So here, you're going to click on the drop arrow, and you're going to go to Command Prompt. We don't want PowerShell. And then, now what you're going to do is, after you cd it into your folder, you're going to type a simple command called Flutter Run. Now, as I have no emulators or devices connected, Flutter is going to upload or run my app on the web. So in this case, it's going to be Chrome because I like Chrome, but it's going to run our app on Chrome OS. So it does take some time to run, so I'm going to connect with you after it's up and running. So as you guys can see, I have my program up and running. Now, as you can see, as I said in our introduction Flutter video, Flutter can make native apps or native code for 3 different platforms: Android, iOS, and the web. Now, we're running our Flutter app in the web format. But this course's main goal is to make mobile apps, not web apps, right? So how can we turn this web format into a somewhat mobile format? Well, at least the looks, not the functionality of a mobile phone. So we're going to go over here. We're going to do inspect. And this only works for Chrome OS because this has to do with Chrome's developer tools. But we're going to go to inspect. And then we're going to click on this over here, a phone and an iPad. And it says toggle device, toolbar. You're going to click on that. And then your UI automatically turns into a mobile phone. And over here, you can either make it responsive, so you can drag it and drop it however you want, or you can choose between multiple phone screen sizes like Pixel 2. And then there are many other phone screens that you can choose. You can choose an iPad, you can choose an iPad Pro, you can choose an iPhone X. So there are many screen sizes, but as you can see, there's no top notch or anything. That doesn't just happen with the Google inspection developer tools. But this is all we have. Now, as you can see, we made our first app. Well, we didn't make it. Google, the Flutter SDK generated it. But as you can see, it says Flutter demo homepage. And then it's basically a counting app. Isn't that cool? Now, in our next video, we are going to basically not expand our knowledge with Flutter, but just play around with this code over here. And then we're going to discuss what all of these folders mean. And then we're going to look at this main Dart file where you're going to write all of your code and basically what's happening, and maybe make some few minor changes to get into that topic or habit of, getting into the Flutter way. That's all for this video, guys. If you did like this video, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, turn on notifications so you get notified whenever I post a new video. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys had a nice visit. I hope you guys learned something new. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section down below. And all useful links, tips, and a description. So the most important tips and links will be down in the description. And yeah, that's all. So I hope you guys had a great time watching this video. See you guys in the next one. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.